And good afternoon, everybody. Today I just want to talk model car builds in general and our hobby in general. So these are pretty well all my builds to date. And what I felt compelled to do this video is, reading comment sections. And there seems to be a lot of competitive builders out there, or, people who want to start channels and so forth. And then there are us builders who just have fun with the hobby and make do with what we have. Like my videos I make, all I use is my phone. There's nothing techy about anything I do, really. If it is, it's the lowest rung of the ladder in relation to tech. But one of the things I read is about paint and how certain people recommend like airbrushes and so forth as opposed to rattle can paints, and it's kind of a debate. And what comes to mind is I was reading an issue back in the late 80s, early 90s. I was reading an issue of my Mopar magazine, and there was a fella in there that had a burnt orange, I think it was a 70 Hemi Challenger RTSE, no, maybe a 440 version. But anyways, to the paint. So anyways, it was burnt orange, and that was the color that he had painted it. And he won Best of Paint at the Mopar Nationals that time. And he had painted the entire vehicle piece by piece in his garage using rattle cans. And he went around, made sure that the paint was from the same batch so that nothing would be mismatched in any way in terms of shade. And so he went around, he went by the numbers, like what the can numbers were. And he painted the entire thing on sawhorses, piece by piece, in his garage, and with rattle cans. And he won Best of Paint. So that kind of got me thinking when I was reading some of the comments about paint, like, okay, this is better, that's better, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. And again, I mean, we don't all have the money or the resources or the workspace to tinker with that kind of thing. Like each one of these were painted outside using Tamiya rattle cans. And then then I read something about how paint should be to scale, and sometimes people use too much shine, or they use the 2K clears and it's too shiny. And there's just a whole debate around all this stuff. And as much as I enjoy being back in the hobby and having the online community to, assist with certain points of my builds, like anything else, it gets political, it gets competitive, and I just want to clear that up. Like, that's not why I'm in this hobby, and that's why I think that's not why a lot of us are in this hobby, I believe. Like, for instance, this one here, I wound up with a mirror paint job, and that was totally unintentional. I honestly thought it was going to get dull as time progressed, as it dried and as the paint shrunk. But it didn't, to my delight. And then, of course, I had this one. And at the back where the sail panels are, I had major run on the metallic blue, and it was looking really bad. And so I didn't panic. I just let it kind of air dry a little bit more. Then I lightly sanded spots of it again, and then I went over it with clear, and it completely, with a pearl clear, and it completely erased that flaw that was developing. And do I like this paint job less than I like this paint job? Or do I like this paint job more than I like this paint job? No, I don't. This was just entirely dumb luck. I let it gas out on the dash of my car on what was a warm day, and voila, a pleasant surprise. And then this one was painted outside in the middle of winter because I wanted to do a build and I had nowhere to paint. So I literally painted outside my door in the winter time, and that was a champagne gold Tamiya. Then I hit it with a pearl clear. And then this one, I had painted it like it's kind of a light turquoise blue. These are all Tamiya paints, by the way. So anyways, winter time again, and I brought it in, and then the paint rushed because of the sudden change in temperature. So what I done was I just kind of warmed up a can of pearl clear. I didn't have very much left, maybe a third of a can, maybe a little less than a third of a can. And I hit it with that, and it came out, it couldn't have came out any better. And yeah, so that was how that happened. And this one, one of the first ones I did while returning into the hobby. One of the first ones I painted, and it came out dull. And so I went back to the hobby shop, and they didn't have pearl clear, so I just left it. Yeah, it's not entirely a stock build, so. But yeah, that one was, this kit in general was took a lot of work just to get the thing to present itself properly like an actual dent side F-Series truck. And this one here, the 62 Pontiac, that's one of my first builds as well since returning into the hobby. I used craft wires for plug wires just recently, and that was only one can of metallic green, and since then I've decided to use 2 cans. So anyways, one side was duller than the other, so all I did was polish it out with toothpaste. Yes, good old crust tooth polish, and then I waxed it, and it basically evened it out so that this side, which was duller than the other side, is equal to the other side. So again, it's not about perfection, it's about having fun. And yeah, and then this one as well. Originally I just had it was on 4 white wall tires at stock height, and it just, something was missing, and then I turned it into a gasser. And interestingly enough, it went from being one of my least popular builds to my most popular build, simply by doing those modifications. And then of course this one went through a number of changes. I made the vent windows, and it just was too yellow for me, and because I was originally going to put the red laser stripes on, and the stripes disintegrated on me, so I did this with it. Those are from multiple kits. And again, I just had fun with it. And yeah, of course, the curb side here, and then my Mobius Cyclone, which had a bit of kit bashing involved in that build. And I went to a model contest here a couple of years ago, year before last. Local model contest up here in northern British Columbia. And set some of my models on the table. And it wasn't as fun as I had hoped. Again, you know, you get the little politics and little buddy systems. It was their first annual show. And one of the organizers came up and said that this build here didn't get much recognition because I didn't use chrome foil, and that one of their other participants topped mine because he used chrome foil. He had the Revell 58 Impala, and there wasn't one shred of chrome foil in that model contest at the time. So I thought, oh, wow, like, you had to come over to me and tell me this. Like, who do you think you're talking to? I knew there was no chrome foil. It was the Revell 58. The chrome was supplied in the kit, glued on. The patterns on the seats were decals. That was the Revell 58. And there wasn't even any detail painting on the trimmer on the windows, let alone foil. And so that was the first and the last time I went to that show. See, when I got into this hobby, it was simply for fun, and it still is. And I left my builds unattended. There was kids there. I didn't care. I mean, if a kid got a hold of one of these and wrecked it and had a minute of fun with it, that would have been a reward enough for me, because that's what I did when I was a kid. I got into the older cousins' models and stuff, and I wrecked a few of them. And when I was younger, I was born with a birth defect in my right, just under my right armpit, and I had to wait till I was 2 to get surgery for that. And so I couldn't play team sports because I lacked coordination in my right arm. Well, by the time I outgrew it, like, the surgery corrected things, and by the time I outgrew it, I had to wait till I was 2 to get the surgery. Like, I'm 57 years old, so back then the techniques weren't as advanced as they are now. And so by the time it healed up and I got good coordination in my right arm, I had lost all interest in team sports, because I saw how ridiculous people would act when trying to win stuff. And so when I got into this hobby, it was totally an individual thing. And it still is. I just love doing it. You know, if you can afford to, get high-end stuff and great channels with your channel presentations and everything like that, great, have fun, but not all of us can do that, obviously. And, same with the paint debate. And there's no better example, I think, of the guy who did win he actually won the Mopar Nationals Best of Paint by using rattle cans. And that's a story that sticks with me, because I've also been a type of against the grain type person, because I've had to be. And when I was younger, I tried bronco riding and used to ride horses a little bit, and hurt myself trying bronco riding. Bareback bronco riding is what I tried. And again, it wasn't about competition. It was about proving something to myself, that I could at least do it. And I didn't grow up on a farm or a ranch. And so, so when I went to that contest, I left the builds that I brought, I had left them unattended on the table. I wasn't overly concerned that a kid might get a hold of one. And I do a good job of destroying my own builds anyway. I've wrecked a few of these. And when I wreck a model kit or even a finished model, it doesn't bother me. Okay, this is parts now. And then I go on to the next one, because it's fun. I enjoy doing it. And one example is, so this was one of my favorite builds, and my OCD kicked in, and See where the 340 is? It's supposed to be up above the fold of the bodywork. Well, I went online, I went on YouTube, and I looked at other people who built this model rather than the actual car. And so I noticed that they put it on there. I just assumed, okay, yeah, they're correct. And so I tried to strip the decals off, and it just, one thing led to the next, and it was getting worse and worse. And I just, well, oh well. So then it became my parts car. And so the wheels that I had used on this were white lettered tires. And then the wheels that were on it are now on this build. And the wheels were originally from the AMT 61 Impala kit. And so what I'm going to do with this is eventually I want to take that 346er out. And I'm thinking of getting another one of these Dodge cars and then putting that 340 in there and making a sleeper car. So again, so I don't panic when a model goes south and gets wrecked. And that spoiler is from this. And the exhaust tips are from this as well. And I have the mirrors, and I'm going to use those mirrors for my Trans Am build because they're better quality, more realistic looking mirror. Like my MPC Trans Am kit has those little nibs for mirrors, right there. That's an MPC kit, by the way. So this one had better mirrors, so I'm going to paint them up to match, and then that'll go on to my Trans Am build, which is right there. Still working on it. It's kind of on hold because I'm thinking of doing my Mustang build. But yeah, so just a little bit of model car talk, and yeah. And, you know, build what you like, build what you enjoy. Again, when it comes to politics of model building, you get people touting this kit, touting that kit. And to me, they're all great kits. You just put how much work you're going to put into it. It's all about passion. And no better example of passion that I can remember is the fella who did. He won the Mopar Nationals Best of Paint by using rattle cans. And that's a sterling example of passion. Like, you just love what you're doing, and it will show in your work. And it, you know, and not everybody has the same level of materials. You know, these were all painted outside rattle can, all detail painted with a fine brush, Testor's silver. There's no 3D here, there's no photo etch parts. There's some kit bashing, and no airbrush paint. This is all rattle can stuff. You know, shout out to Tamiya when it comes to that. Like, even for this, like, somebody will look at, I've even had a few skeptics say, well, I've never seen a TS paint that shiny before. Like, skeptical, because that's how competitive this hobby has gotten. It's kind of silly at times to me. And so, as far as that paint job goes, not that I lucked out with it, I give the credit to Tamiya. Like, seriously. You know, I basically stumbled onto a nice shiny paint job. And is it to scale? Probably not, but it's still kind of cool to look at. So if people feel compelled to go all out and clear their models and have them really shiny, then all the power to you. Have fun, because that's what it's about. But yeah. So anyways, I've got more chores to do to get through the day, and I don't know, I think I covered pretty much all I want to cover at this point. But yeah, I wasn't concerned when I left these out. Because again, when something like that happens, it just becomes my parts donor. You know, I get a little upset, sure, but I mean, not to the point where it's like, oh my God, what a tragedy. And I put a lot of hours into that. Like, you can see the detail painting and stuff I did. And, yeah. Excuse me. And I wrecked it. And so, yeah. So, shoulder shrug there, and then I just kept on and used the parts, went on to other builds. So, anyways, have a quick scan of my stuff here on the table and before I put them all back in their cases. And, yeah. All right, everybody. So have a great day and happy modeling.